This conference will now be recorded.
Sure. I gotta be ready. Call the meeting to order. And stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I don't have Rodney's prayer, so we're not doing that. And go to the public.
Willing to wait for Mike.
I know he didn't come. Maybe next time. Anyway, special meeting for, mainly for the DRI budget update, we're gonna call it. And we do have a couple other things on the agenda, which are not on the agenda, but we want to talk about one item for the cemetery and one item for the EMS. Don't let me forget. Let's do the DRI stuff.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
James out here.
If you stay any longer, yes.
James, take it away.
Alrighty, so, in addition to what Mike printed, I gave you guys a small package with a number of tables and stuff on it. I'd like to start just by looking at kind of the original award. So this shows all the original budgets that we had set for these. I know there's some numbers there in the change column, but realistically, these are all the starting budgets. They should be zero with that. But so this number, the 4,283,551, that is our total budget. That includes our engineering fees and legal services fees. So something to keep in mind as we flip through this. So the next page kind of shows Amendment 1. So this is the original amendment that we did when we requested, when the other DRI projects, not our projects, but the other funded stuff, either got declined or denied for whatever reason, and there was more money. We were recommended that we could request that the firehouse be bumped up to its full total amount that was originally asked for, which was approved and processed. So the last one here is our proposed amendment. So this is kind of where we stand with all the existing budgets, what the changes are, and trying to balance out everything. So the one thing that I want to draw attention to that I think has not really been talked about or not been noticed since the beginning of this project is Hunt's fee, which you can see has a change of $94,000. So the original budget for engineering was $428,355. And with recent invoices and stuff, I had to discuss with your guys' admins as they were trying to get payments processed. And there was an issue on the state side that the state was seeing that some of the Hunt fees that we were putting through were significantly higher than, well, depending on your definition of significant, but we're higher than what was originally bid. And I look back, and the primary reason for that is that Hunt bid the project in at $483,000, I believe. So if you could look back in your guys' meeting minutes when you guys had all the previous budgets, Hunt's fee was higher than what was originally set in the contract, and the project was still awarded. There was no notes or anything in there saying anything about trying to transfer funds or where it was going to come from. So that's where we kind of run into a bit of a hiccup. And then, so in addition to bring it up to the 522,000, so that was the amendment that was brought up approximately February of last year regarding the firehouse. So originally when we scoped the firehouse, it was either the clock tower or the roof. We designed the roof, decided the clock tower was a priority, did the clock tower. So Hunt asked for a bit of additional fee with there, which was approved. And there was some discussion about bringing that from the DRI money. So I think the amendment, my opinion, talking with Julie and stuff, I think the amendment, the second one, is reasonably covered with the DRI. You could talk to them and say, the prices were changed by the differences in the scope. The scope increased. You guys gave us more money to increase the scope of the firehouse, so we needed more engineering fee. So I think there's some justification there to move money around to get it into there. I think you guys are gonna run into trouble with the original, overage though, that first, 60,000-ish. And the reason I say that is because before there were any issues, before we knew, what was gonna be which project and COVID, and before all of that, the project was bid, the numbers were in front of you. At that point, you guys approved the contract, and you would have had to have known that that money had to come from somewhere. It wasn't gonna come from the state.
Yeah, so that was long before you.
Yeah, yeah.
So when we got all the bids back for engineering, I specifically asked Julie Sweet, she's not on the call, she wanted to be. Because all of the bids were higher, everybody was.
Yeah, I seen that, we were over, but not as much as.
So I said, what do we do? And she said, well, you just pick one and then you'll have that much less in your construction budgets.
So she said that, to me, I mean, that indicates that she approved to some extent that you were gonna be able to move money from our construction budget to that.
Right.
So I hope that is, I hope we can remind her of that, because in our call, she kind of said the opposite. So, I hope that wasn't a goof on her part, or rather, I hope maybe it was a goof, whatever is the good thing. So this budget here kind of reflects us moving around and balancing everything so that in the end, you guys aren't paying anything out of pocket. That's the overall goal with this kind of meeting, is kind of trying to balance these and put our objectives together. The one thing to note is that our construction services for the waterfront, our budget for that is down to about $188,000. So, given the scope that we currently have with that, with the boat launch, the RPZ meters, the boardwalk, all that stuff, I think we might be stretching that pretty thin.
Does that have the 140,000 of art in it?
Yes.
So it's really 40,000?
Yeah, so, there's a discussion to be had there with you guys on, so since technically none of these amendments have been approached yet, there's nothing to say that you guys couldn't decide to move all that money from the waterfront and do something slightly different. One of my, things that I keep hearing repeating from the state is visibility. Like, they wanna see something. So in that aspect, that's kind of why we ended up going away from the trail. It's kind of why we ended up going, trimming out some of the waterfront stuff and pushing it to the end. This might be a good chance to revisit, doing something, near the art park, if that makes sense. So we know that there are challenges with infrastructure, but if you're really just doing art, you could still do something like right along the sidewalk without getting too far into there. If you stay away from the other side where that retaining wall is, you don't have to worry about fixing that existing one. There would have to be, I would recommend that you guys get written approval for the parking thing if you wanted to go there, because technically part of the art park, one of the like hard points was putting in 17 or 27 parking spots, which we obviously wouldn't want to do. But if you guys put this whole 180 something thousand towards a artscape along, and the recommended location would probably be like between the firehouse, the steamer engine, and the end of the block there, right? Because then you kind of create this cohesive area where the firehouse just got redone, the steamer houses just got there, and then you kind of got this open landscape, and or you've got this like, so many 100 feet of sidewalk, and then that could also be used to kind of screen this space that has really become relatively unusable. But that's not to say the direction, you have to go with that. We can certainly still try to pursue something for the waterfront. We can still try to do those art projects around the various locations in the waterfront. But we have a few options there. My main goal is I want to make sure that we use every penny of this, and I want to make sure you guys get, all the dollars worth of everything. And then in the end, we also want the state to be happy with us and say, yeah, you guys did the best you could with what we gave you.
Yeah, I know just like in my own private conversations with Julie Sweet, the state representative, she's very up on wanting us to do something to clean up the art park and make it look more presentable, especially now with, if we fix up the fire station a little bit, and then the steamer house, she loves that steamer house thing. And then she just hates that crappy looking pit that weeds are growing up everywhere.
What about doing like the phrase in my head was botanical garden, because I just went through the one by Cornell Cooperative Extension in Binghamton yesterday. Something Saturday, like throw some plants in there that look nice and are native.
I think she'd be happy with anything.
Yeah, I mean, something like that would be a really excellent use, especially because of the DEC stuff. If you're doing, plants are like one of the best ways to kind of clean soil and do stuff like that. But that stuff gets very unwieldy and out of control if someone doesn't maintain it. Even those like botanical gardens that are mostly by themselves, they need some level of maintenance. Things need to be cut back. It needs to be winterized. So just something to keep in mind with that as well.
Because at a DRI level, there's been a lot, like, they went out on North Ave, and then, up, like, donuts and beer, and like, they focused a lot on North Ave.
Yeah.
So they're not real happy
Well,
that
it
we
needed it.
ignored the whole.
Community shop got an upgrade, they look nice, and right across the street, is the park.
Well, I'll say the, skate park is a big hit.
Yeah.
Any day of the week, there's at least a dozen people there. And Charles posted something today, there's 2 to 3 dozen people there the other day. It's just, people are using it.
That's great. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, they had a Ithaca college students when they yesterday, they got permission to film a segment of a movie they were doing.
Very cool.
Just
That's a
getting
long
lot
way
of
that's a long way to come just to hang out on the skate park. Normally, that's
Well, from what they say, there isn't another really good skate park.
That's why we're trying to really get officially opened.
But I mean, it's something that
yeah. So
Julie can see that we've accomplished. I think it's a big accomplishment.
oh yeah, I
know they
think
love it.
she's aware of
The
that.
state loves that, like, it's catching on like that, for sure. But she sees it, I mean, she's local enough to see what's going on, she's only in Binghamton.
Does this surplus include the money that we set aside for the actual purchase of art, or is that still?
So that 188 that is set for that budget, that's everything. So if you actually flip to the the page just after that. So I helped your guys' admin kind of go through and look at all the payments that have been submitted by every contractor, by every agency. And so some of this stuff wasn't really considered in the construction budget because they're not construction costs, but they still come out of your guys' budgets for this. So an example of that is CME's inspection fees for construction, NICEAG's upgrades to some of their state equipment that we had to do. CME again, Ortube, they had to test for asbestos, and then Ortube's soil sample items as well. So those are all, I mean, it's not a lot by any means, but it's a small discrepancy that kind of has built up a little bit. And also showed why some of your numbers when you submitted for reimbursement didn't quite line up with the budgets that we have. So then the biggest issue with that is the, hunt around February of this year, maybe even November of last year, we kind of met that threshold where we got reimbursed for everything that was in the contract, but pay apps still got submitted for Hunt's fee above and beyond that. That's what's kind of held up the last couple pay apps. But like I said, my main goal is I want you guys to not have to pay for anything out of pocket. So I included a lot of those fees in this last table to organize it so that our final construction budgets can be as close to what we actually know is gonna happen as possible. Because if we run into any overages or anything on that, on this last project, that's gonna come out of pocket. There's no way around that.
What is the $7,500 on the art park?
Soil, your
That
guys'
was it,
soil
that was
testing.
it.
Yeah. So one of the main things, Julie recommended that we don't actually zero that out because technically that was for the art park. And so in order to reimburse without rewriting anything, they wanted to keep that item line in that section. So, and that's what kind of hinted that, like, well, there's no reason to say that we couldn't necessarily add another item line to that art park and then do, granted, an extremely scaled back version of an art front, but some sort of sidewalk scape along
So
there.
how can we go about doing something like that without incurring more costs for planning? Because we spent a lot of money on that planning, designing and all that stuff. And that just went out the window.
Yeah, so truthfully, you guys are relying on our kind of goodwill a little bit that we're gonna keep going at this. I know that we are hunt-wise, we're like, I think 20% over the budget that's even there currently. I know that that is something that we'd like to discuss as a firm with you guys. But, you know, me personally, I'm committed to seeing this stuff through and getting this done. Sometimes that means, you know, stretching myself a little thinner with that kind of stuff. But I think that we can get most of this done with minimal design work if you stay on the street front. So if you guys just need a couple foundations designed for a little bit of artwork, that's the kind of stuff that I can knock out pretty quickly without too much of an issue. The things that would keep me from getting overly involved in a complicated design would be help with permitting, those kind of things. So if I send a file and say, hey, this is the document that needs to be submitted, can someone fill it out and send it to whoever? It keeps me from having to spend 2 or 3 hours coordinating, because one of the things that would be a big obstacle to that is it is a DOT road there. So we gotta make sure that we're either just outside the right of way, or if we're in the right of way, that we make sure that we get a state permit, which can take, you know, a lot of time.
State permit plus all of our other permits that we've figured out, yeah.
So I know it looks like crap down there, but we can make the pit not look like crap. We can make it look like it used to look, which is still not nice or anything, but we can make the crap look go away.
Just mow it would be a good.
Just, yeah, but move whatever piles of dirt and construction crap have been left there, whatever, just move it or.
Is there any, sorry to interrupt you, Rusty.
Yeah.
Whose construction stuff is that? Like,
It's probably the states.
this,
They parked all their stuff there when they redid North Ave.
oh,
Did they really?
okay. Gotcha.
It was like their parking lot. So I bet they left their piles, whatever they're.
Charging.
I was gonna say, one thing to keep in mind is that some municipalities do charge for staging, like, hey, we're happy to loan you this, but you gotta pay us whatever it is for whatever it is, but.
So James, help me. We keep talking about $188,000. Where is that?
So on the proposed amendment,
Yep, second page, proposed amendment 1.
No, so I'm actually.
Proposed amendment, third page, up, okay.
so construction services to enhance waterfront accessibility.
No, I see 188 there, but that's not 188 we got to spend.
That would be the proposed
Yeah.
budget.
That's the proposed budget. If we have something to spend, we got 378.
No,
No, existing budget, the original budget is the let me put my glass, 587.
67.
Original budget is
567. And
567.
so we're taking out of that 567, the 378, 757, so you have a balance available of 188, 603.
Yes, that we're gonna use for that. I get that. But the money that we have something to do with would be the 378. That's extra money that's not in there. That's the money we have.
No, that's money that's been lost.
That goes to the other.
It's lost.
We've already taken that and put it into another project.
Yeah, so with the balancing that I've done, what
From
that's
that
showing is that's gonna cover some of Hunt's Hunt's fees with our extra cost with the amendment and with our extra overages. That will end up covering, the extra, inspection fees and the extra, contract items. It helps cover the, what's it called? The,
Lighting.
well, the lighting was pretty much already budgeted in, but the escalation cost that wasn't accounted for in anything originally, for the second portion of that. So that 188, that's what's left over,
What's
balancing
Currently
everything
available.
to make sure that you guys don't have to pay anything out of pocket.
For whatever we end up doing at the waterfront.
Yeah,
James, just so I have it in my head, right? So like Marvin Park,
yeah,
that increase of $1,080,519.05 has already been spent or encumbered.
yes.
That one has.
So that one has. And then the 111,978 for the parking lighting, that has also been spent and encumbered.
Yes.
And then the 122,325 for the fire station has already been spent and encumbered.
It's been awarded. Technically, it hasn't been spent yet because we haven't started construction.
Okay. So then,
But signed the contract.
but we signed the contract. So this is all to align what has happened
Yes,
with the funding.
yes.
And then the only thing that it sounded like it needed some clarification was the increase of the 94,205 to Hunt's contract. And did I catch it correctly that what you said was their proposal was the 522, 560, but the budget in the DRI projects was only 428, 355. Is that what
No, the original proposal wasn't the 522. It was somewhere between the 428 and the 522.
It was about 483.
Okay, so then why did that not get accounted for in the budget for the DRI project originally 480?
I don't know, that we hadn't done the amendment.
Okay, so the contract was awarded though, the 480. And then what's the increase in the $42,000 above the 480?
That's the amendment to do the firehouse tower or the clock tower in addition to the flag.
And that maths out right, that 42. for
Yeah,
the
you can,
firehouse
so you can go
so that
back
all
and
tracks, okay.
I can send you an email, Nate, just so you have the specifics. And I can show the proposals that were approved and the dates and the meeting minutes from the minutes that they were approved.
I mean, for purposes of this discussion, I will trust that it all equals it how it should be, so. Okay.
Yeah, I've gone through this pretty well with a fine tooth comb because I was trying to keep trying to get that last pay app gone through so people can get paid.
So Rusty, then, I think to where you were headed was, it sounds like there is no actual money to choose to do anything different with, because all the changes are already encumbered, spent, or promised to somebody.
Well, no, so that 188,
But aside from the
Okay,
remaining waterfront accessibility monies, because that money has not yet been spent.
correct.
As May contracted.
We haven't bid that or anything.
Well, there's also this 94,000 that we don't actually have to give for engineering.
But we signed up for that already.
We didn't sign up for a lot of things that had to get corrected. Like all the lights that went wrong and the changes to, the cords and stuff. I mean, it was like a flat pad and it got poured wrong. You know, like the wrong size and like the light got put in the wrong place. It just needed to be moved. And like, why do we have to pay for that? Why doesn't Hunt just need to pay for the like really obvious mistakes?
All of that stuff has been taken care of as far as the construction costs built into it that didn't come from your guys' budget. Stuff that was contractor error was dealt by the contractor with those adjustments in mind. The Hunt fee that is in there is the original bid price, $480,000, which you guys approved and agreed to with the contract that was above. No, there's no changes or extra charges in there for anything. And then the 40,000 on top of that, that brings it to the 522, is the amendment for additional services to extend the firehouse. None of that is taken into the additional construction services that we've supplied throughout this entire process. One thing that was specifically excluded was full-time inspection. That's not a cheap fee to have an engineer or an inspector out there keeping their eye on the contractor all the time. But that wasn't included in any of these proposals, and that's kind of what happens sometimes.
So the basketball area over there, the pickleball court, that's done, that's finished? I still don't see any benches.
Yeah, we cut those benches.
I thought we put them back in. Did we change the type of benches?
We changed the type to the backless category.
Right.
Okay, I'll have to look
Where
back
are
and
benches?
see what the status is on that and see what happened with them.
Yeah, because we're supposed to get benches.
Yeah, there's still supposed to be benches, they were just went to back bench. They
We
were
changed them, and we got a discount.
locker room style
Yeah.
benches.
James, earlier tonight you said, when we were talking about money, you said, I think you guys are gonna run into trouble. And then you said, you guys must have known that it had to come from somewhere and it's not from. But you think that there's some justification to move money around to cover them? And that's like described in this last page?
No, so.
Or that's described when you were talking about the, so,
Changes.
so from the waterfront money, we pulled out like all the money to do the Owego Creek trails and the convergent, like the emergency access and the kayak launches, all of that, right? And so all these extra costs are coming out of that 378,000, right? To cover all these,
The 378 is the trails and the whatever.
and that's sort of like where all this sort of like that's
So that
slushy.
money being moved is covering the biggest item there is the escalation cost for delaying, which was, significantly more than we anticipated. But we knew that that was coming when we decided to wait to make sure the state was actually gonna approve it. So we didn't end up holding the bag for the entire half of Market Park.
Yeah, the escalation cost was 146,000.
Yeah, it was.
It's on the last page.
So, and then, on the last page, I break down all of the changes that have gone through, and you can see where that money has come from, the different pots that were allocated. And when I said, I don't think that the state is gonna cover you for that, it's because the engineering fee that you guys agreed to previously before anything was done was higher than the state contract. Now, Mike seems to indicate that Julie had previously given some level of assent that that money can be used for our fees. So now that 90,000 that you guys committed to that wasn't really in the budget, that adds on top of that 150,000 plus the 50,000 of changes, and then like the addition to the bathroom or the variance to the bathroom. And then on top of that, you've got $100,000 in engineering fees that were committed to, but not really addressed to come out of any specific budget. So the only place it can come out of at the end is the water fund.
Well, because we haven't done that one yet.
Exactly. But it's one of the reasons we kind of broke these apart and decided not to try to push all the projects out the door at the same time.
And then just to, I think, clarify, so this would be changing, the village would be requesting New York State approve reallocation of monies to these various projects or items, right? It's
Yeah.
not actually approval of the payment to any of the related entities. And I'm just trying to move the conversation along. So Laura, to the extent that the items that you've raised, you would still have the ability to explore those, have further conversations with Hunt about those things while still getting permission from the state to potentially pay up to that amount of money. It's not a commitment that the village will pay that money, which I think is what you're interested in exploring, but it just gives the flexibility in the state approved allocation to go up to that amount. If there's some conversations and something different happens with Hunt, then monies might become available on that item that could be reallocated. I'm just trying to.
Right, so at the end of the day, whenever we change the DRI budgets, the state has to approve it, and it has to go all the way up to the comptroller. So they try to do that as few times as possible. So that's where we're at, which is why we didn't do it off the bat with the one contract, because we didn't want to do it and then have to do it again.
I mean, I know, I'm fairly confident that Coughlin's number can come significantly down. I don't know what we're at right now, but just as I'm pointing that out because this is relatively nearing the end-ish. So that's another potential available monies.
So if there is something there, please shoot that to me as soon as possible, whatever you guys are comfortable with, so that, because we need to get this amendment in, because part of it is our extension to the contract as well.
Right.
So Julie's kind of been pulling off because we've been talking about pushing money around, where it's going and all of that.
So technically, our DRI ends at the end of the year, as in December 31st. Julie wants to push to get it extended 2 more years.
Which is just a standard
Yeah.
amount.
Yeah, because we asked her if it was 1 year or 2 years, and she said they always do 2 years. Right. Just because that means everything has to be spent, done, and submitted for reimbursement, so like, projects won't take that long, but the whole process takes a long time.
It's nice to have that cushion for paperwork.
So, just because we don't want any of this to be easy, where are we on the bathroom? Are we ever gonna build a bathroom? How much more money are we gonna owe them for the bathroom? Is that gonna be another $100,000, because we're not gonna get it done?
That's a James question. It is on the agenda for Wednesday, right?
Yeah, so up until this last delay, I got Streeter to commit to no increase. But with the last delay with not having a quorum, now they're not sure they can get their mason in without an increased fee for their subcontractor. I asked them for a request of what that ballpark number might be. They said they couldn't commit to that until we could give them a date on when they could be out there. I can't do that until I have approval, because that keeps on being pushed out. Once I do, I have talked to the state and I have that all lined up. They believe that they could do all of that as a routine variance. So, and I've tried to prime the pump by talking to him, submitting all of his stuff, talking to Mick, filling out his stuff, and I laid out a timeline. I said, the 25th, if that gets approved through your guys' zoning, the 26th, I need those resolutions and stuff, the final paperwork, I'll submit to the state. And I mean, fingers crossed, I should have that by the end of the week or early next week. The state is very much on board with us as far as like, they don't have any questions with this, they see no issues with it. The original guy that I talked to retired, so that's why we kind of had that pause in the middle where I didn't really hear anything back, but the new guy, I have gotten a hold of him and talked to him. So I mean, that's all primed and set, and but I can't give you a hard number, or rather Streeter won't give you a hard number on that until they have an actual start date of when they can get out there and do it.
So we still don't have our variance from our,
So we have a variance, we don't have the special use permit of the whatever law.
okay, from chapter whatever,
We've got to get
95.
two of them.
Yeah. Is there a reason why our boards that meet once a month wouldn't have a special meeting to address this?
They tried, but even last month when they tried to have a meeting, they didn't have a quorum. So it's actually been 2 months. after they had a variance.
This is the Board of Appeals. The chair, that's Tribuco. They understand that 3 is a quorum, not 4 is a quorum? Whatever.
Oh, if they are needed to be, if it's necessary for the village business to be done, maybe they need to meet more often,
This is where we're going, this is a
instead
different,
of 2 or 3 months at a time.
this is a different conversation, but this is
Yeah.
where we're going
Yeah.
with this law, that every single building permit has to go through. And we can't even get through it in a
I
timely
mean,
fashion.
to delay everything by a committee that doesn't want to meet, it's crazy.
Do we have 5 on that committee or only 4?
They go with forward.
Right, so if you're missing
What committee are we talking about now?
we-
So this is
the zoning board,
Oh, the zoning board of appeals, I'm sorry.
yeah, I
No,
believe
I'm
there's only
confusing
4,
that with a
and
committee.
that's part of the problem.
What's that, Terry?
I believe there are only 4 on the committee at the moment, and that is part of the problem. Because
Sure.
if you have a couple that aren't there, you don't have a quorum.
But it does only take 3.
Right.
Yep.
But they didn't even have 3.
They don't have 3, well, then they don't have.
Well, every board has a boss. Who's their boss?
You guys.
Who is?
Well, we gotta find more people to be on it.
Well, the
Yeah,
person
yeah.
that I boss came here for the meeting last month, didn't realize there was the meeting until we got here.
He's got a boss.
At least he was here.
He was here, he
Yeah.
was the only one here. And he called and asked where the rest of them were. They weren't there.
Okay, now it's another story.
So we
Russ,
need
the one thing
people.
I want to address too, you're talking about, all these delays in the bathroom.
Yep.
I mean, I was talking with James earlier, it's pretty standard in construction business. Once you have a contractor with contract with a company, says they're gonna do this, this, and this. If you're putting stop work orders on that contract, they could charge you a penalty fee every month.
Oh, there's
They
all
can't
kinds,
work.
that's part of the
James says
question.
right now they're not doing it, but it's a possibility when you keep stop.
That was part of my question, is how much more money are we going to owe them? Well,
Yeah.
we owe money for storage of materials, where are those materials going if they can't get after this in this fall, on and on and on. How much is that
It's
gonna
right
go up?
over there at Marvin Park, that people are looking for it.
Yeah, right, how much more stuff are they gonna buy, because what got stolen?
That stuff's been there for a year. We keep telling
They've
them,
been
you
stealing
can't
the
do it,
stuff?
you can't do it, you can't do it.
How much can they get in those shopping carts?
Right, I don't know. I'm not watching it.
They can build a community.
You probably get a good half a dozen in the trunk
You
of the
probably
car.
get a bathroom built.
Okay, all right.
But no, they're being stolen.
There's no proof either way, but I didn't count them when they put them out there, so.
So put that in, where were we until I threw the bathroom in?
I mean, there's not really any action tonight, right? We're just talking about this.
We should come up with a game plan to have an action. At some point, you guys are gonna have to commit and say, this is the amendment we wanna submit to the state. You know, whether, part of that would be nice if we're not gonna wanna submit it. I put these numbers in as is to show you where we stand currently, but we already know that there's a good chance that the contractor is gonna charge a little bit more for the bathroom in that last delay. You're gonna want that covered in the DR in this budget as well. So I mean, we don't wanna delay that, but we certainly wanna have a game plan for getting this approved as soon as possible.
The next village board meeting is the 7th.
Yeah, something like that.
When's Veterans Day? 'Cause I know that always pops up and moves a meeting
That
sometimes.
is correct. Monday is the 30th,
So,
board meeting's the next 7.
The 7th.
Sometimes Veterans Day.
2 weeks from today.
That's
Yeah.
November 11th. No,
Oh.
Indigenous People Day is what, the 14th or 13th, something like that, of October. So we're
14th.
okay on that one.
So I guess a couple things that you guys
Yeah, well,
need to
change
decide. The first thing is committing to paying for Hunt's contracts out of construction budgets. So that involves a conversation with Julie and making sure that, if she said that it was okay before, that she honors that in one way or another. Or if not, then you're kind of, I don't like the term very much, but rolling the dice a little bit to submit and make sure that the state is gonna actually cover that. The second thing is, committing, the amounts on the budgets, as they're shown in the proposed. And so that would include either pursuing the waterfront with the money you have and trying to approach it in a way where we can match the scope to the budget, or putting the money into a different feature. Those are kind of the two things that you guys.
That's what we gotta think about. Which we're not gonna have answers tonight, but stuff we gotta think
No,
about.
but that was the point, is kind of to lay this stuff out in front of you and make sure that I've addressed any concerns, put the budgets in front of you guys so you guys can ask any questions off the cuff. And then, of course, you guys all have my contact information. You can please feel free to email me or call me if there's something specific I need to address.
I mean, I think you've given us all the info. We can talk about it all night.
Yeah.
We're not gonna get anywhere.
Well, like I said, I mainly want to make myself available, because giving someone the info isn't necessarily the same as trying to have a conversation. Like tables and charts and everything might seem very self-explanatory. Like, to me, I've been looking at these numbers for a long time, trying to help, and make sure everything is aligned, and that in the end, you guys aren't paying anything out of pocket, but it's a lot to try to keep up with.
Yeah. I think this discussion was good.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming, James.
Yeah, no problem.
Just please get back to me or anybody here about those benches.
Check out the benches, because they were supposed to be the
They're supposed to be
locker
there.
room stuff.
Yeah, I'll make sure that I,
What, 6? We got 2 on each side or only something. It
Whatever
was around the
proposal.
perimeter.
well, yeah, the original ones were set more to be observation type things, so I think you're probably gonna wanna adjust the location a little bit, but we'll deal with that.
Well, it was just
Look at it.
difference of the benches, chairs, whatever. Like, I think it was park bench chairs that was gonna be there.
Yeah.
Gonna be changed to just locker room style benches. I mean, nobody needs it.
I remember we had pictures of each kind of.
Yeah, I remember it all. I was just waiting for them to be installed and they never happened. That's why I heard that was done. I'm like, I need them. I'm not even gonna go.
Hey, you know what? Before those benches go in, somebody that's gonna put those benches in needs to talk to our clerk of the works to see that they're going, oh my goodness, you put the benches right where the people are gonna fall over them when they step off the pickleball course. Somebody needs to be paying attention. I mean, the people that we didn't pay, the person we didn't pay a whole bunch of money to
Go get the
look
guy
over all these things.
who drew the lines with basketball court to do the benches.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right in the middle of the light.
So ideally, I would submit a drawing to somebody like your guys' Department of Public Works, who will meet out there and say, yes, this is a good spot because of X, Y, or Z, or it's not a good spot because this is where we mow, this is where we're going on doing this, that kind of stuff.
Something like that.
But it really could be anything.
Little thing.
Anyone
And you said sometime this week, maybe, that sign is gonna go in?
So the sign text and stuff has been approved. We did the design for you guys free of charge, because IDS for some reason decided that wasn't part of their scope, and at this point, we didn't want to argue with them.
Is that the
But in order to
$600,000
make
sign?
sure that we install this thing once and that everything's right, we insisted that they provide a sample of the printout before they do anything. So that was mailed yesterday, and it's supposed to be overnighted to us, so we should have it tomorrow or Wednesday. And so as soon as we approve that, they should be installed.
Do you think it'd be this fall?
Yeah, it better be.
I mean,
Well, it'd just be nice to.
before December.
It'd be nice to have
Like,
like,
just, we're at the point to where the sign is beyond the approvals, which is always the kind of stuff that takes, so at this point, it's just making sure they didn't spell something wrong when they give it to us, making sure that their print colors come out right, and that there's not somewhere sort of weird texture with the darks and the lights, and making it non-visible.
we just need it in the ground
Yeah.
so that we could open this park.
Then we can say it's open.
Yeah, we haven't officially opening yet.
right now our insurance says not to, because the sign's not there, it says.
Yet there are people going there. We don't have the resources to keep everybody off of there.
Yeah.
It's just impossible. It's an open area. Not gonna happen. But we still wanna cover our ass insurance wise, so people don't get hurt. I mean, I go down there every day and I talk to them and they make sure that they know the rules and everything, and yeah,
No, I understand.
I'd rather have a sign doing that for me than going down every day. I still probably go down every day.
Yeah, I promise you, everything is moving. As soon as it's on my desk, I'm gonna, stand over our marketing person while they review it, make sure they do it immediately. Yeah. All right, I guess I'll, get out of your guys' hair and let you talk about the police department.
I have no hair.
Get out of Charles' ears.
Let's do a cemetery thing quick.
Okay. I've got, something for everybody to look at. I will explain myself. Thank you.
Could've been here 4 hours.
I have nothing to look at. Okay, last Friday, Reeves Construction was up at the cemetery talking with Fred, and Les Wagner was still up there at the time. He was finishing getting his equipment and all that stuff. So, what it comes down to is, everybody was not on the same page as far as where Blacktop was going. Okay, what we want is, from the entrance of Evergreen Cemetery, go up the hill and around past the caretaker's cottage, and then up to the Civil War Monument section, take a right, go all the way up to Sassanach, and then come back down, and the road from Sassanach would meet up with where it was already paved, so there'd be a loop. So instead of 103,000, Reeves says it's gonna cost 160,000, okay? So what was originally figured is that we were gonna take that down near the bottom, 82,686, and then up above there's a figure of 38,134. We're gonna take about half of that to pay the 103,000, which is not gonna do it now. So, since the parking area.
Can I interrupt you for just a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
82 and 38 doesn't come to half of 103, it comes to 120, which is not.
I said half of that 38,
Okay,
about 21,000.
I got you now. Thanks. I
About
wasn't getting
21,000,
it.
yes.
Thanks.
Sorry about that. So, with the parking area up there, there was 7,000 donated by the Wagner Foundation for the materials for the parking area, okay? That was not spent because we got stone for free and things were donated. So there was a $7,000 left. And if you look down at the bottom, Les Wagner, didn't copy well, did it? Les Wagner said he would donate another 30,000. So the figure that got cut off by my copier is 37,000, okay? So Wagner Foundation is donating $37,000 altogether for this parking, or for the paving, which left us with, okay, it came to, all those figures together came to 157,000. We need 160,000. Okay, we're like $2,180 short. Or, I mean, 20, excuse me, yeah. 2,000, so we needed to contribute another 20,000 from the village.
2,000.
2,000.
Somebody's got my original.
I don't have your original.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm sorry too, that did not come out. I had it written down. Okay, so what I figured is if the village put in that full 38,134 with the 82,686 and the 37,000, it would bring us to 157,000. But, so we're still short. And, I don't know, well, hopefully I haven't seen Rod's copy of the notes from last meeting. I asked at the last board meeting.
Well, he told me he did it.
Oh, he did it?
Yes.
I asked him to take the profit off from the, perpetual care fund and put that into that, add it to that 38,000. Which is the, Reserve Evergreen Capital Improvement Fund.
Yeah.
Okay, so that, you can add to that 38,000, another 10,000.
Right.
So essentially, afterwards, the, capital improvement fund will be around a little over $7,000 left. Okay?
You got more than enough to do the paving.
Yeah, by taking the interest off the, perpetual care fund.
Which we did.
See, I put down there, transfer 10,000.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so there's the money to do it. I don't want that, reserve capital improvement fund to go blank. That we need that fund to annually take the interest off from the perpetual care fund to use for projects that need to be done. But the, CD, that can just be gotten rid of. You know, we don't need to keep that line item anymore.
We can close it out, right?
Right.
That's a Rodney question.
Just close it out.
What it's of the time to close it out? They're not gonna charge us, to take it out
I
earlier or something?
don't know, you'd have to talk with him what it is, time-wise, but Reeves wants to get this done, because once again, you got about 2 months before the construction season is over. Yeah, go ahead.
Blacktop it. Rusty?
Okay, so we had originally,
103,000.
you don't know what I was gonna ask, darling.
Okay, well, that's original,
It would be if that was the question I was gonna ask.
sorry.
Go ahead though, if you can figure out what I'm gonna ask, I don't even have to
No,
ask.
sorry.
Okay. We had originally said that we were going to pave up the hill to the building there, and we were gonna pave up the exit from the Shana. Any girls?
So sign up.
That's what we said we were gonna do. So where did we get that we we're gonna pave the other piece? Where did that come from? I haven't heard that. How did that happen also?
Well, I don't have, that was our intent, I mean,
Who's intent?
Evan-
Well, I don't understand. We set up with Reeves, we're gonna pave that. I'm just trying to find out where
Well,
this other part happened. What happened?
my understanding, what we're gonna do now was what I originally thought was gonna happen. But Reeves says, no, that isn't what we contracted for.
Yeah, we contracted for what I just said.
You go up to Civil War section and stop.
We weren't even gonna do that. We were gonna go up to the building and stop. We weren't gonna go on up to the Civil War, and we were gonna come down the other side. That's what we said we were gonna do. Reeves was gonna do it now, we can jump in. Was Reeves gonna do that for 103?
Yes.
And where were we we did this. If I get my book here, I can find out what we said and how we said it. Where were we getting that 103 at that time?
Out of the, 82,000, well, it's, let me get my glass on there. Item,
Mike?
You might wanna look at your
Evergreen
book.
Cemetery.
Or I'm
the
not finding
82,686. See that?
I see that in this
Okay,
CD
and the
fund.
other 38,000, we were gonna take like 21,000 out of that.
Oh, we were gonna take 21 out of the 38?
Right.
Is that what I don't remember. Does anybody?
Do we
remember?
know what month we did all this?
I don't know. It was probably June, May, June.
I'm just trying to remember what we did and figure out what we said we were gonna do. Because that's how I think. I look every year.
I can't search them, but they come in the office.
Move on paving drive on the 5th, the 20th, we. June 24th, June 3rd. Thanks for waiting for me, and thanks for being patient.
Oh, no, it's okay. You don't find it May or June, it's probably April. It was before summer,
Yep, oh,
when we originally approved 103,000.
and in here, it fit,
Oh, here it is,
when is it, Mike?
June 3rd.
June 30?
3rd.
June,
What did we?
June
approve?
3rd.
For cemetery.
Reeves contract.
Present plans for the development of this area before the board. Today with Fran. Oh, wait a minute, this
Yep.
is the trail.
Fred's report?
Oh, I'm looking at my June 3rd notes, and it says paving 37,000
That's the Little League.
plus 80,
It was all
Maybe
together.
it's
the
not.
that was
same
going to
day.
be with the Little League, plus 81,000. Pay for that, approve Reeves for paving cemetery for 103.
Yeah.
And it was gonna be 81 and 37, and that was gonna take care of the Little League and the cemetery, no? Maybe not.
No.
That doesn't say that here
Little
specifically.
League was separate because they have their own grant.
Okay,
Low bid, so
Well,
the
see,
motion is resolved.
The
Motion
amounts
by
in the account were less.
Mike's leaving.
Fran, seconded by Charles, to approve the low bid for paving from Reeves and Son for 103,000 for repaving 2,366 feet of road in Evergreen Cemetery. That was it.
What date was it?
Other two bids were Spencer Paving and MR Dirt. Money to come from the cemetery CD and cemetery account E5315.
gotcha, that's the 37,000, yep.
And that's it, we all voted yes.
So that's where I was coming from, those
I
two
voted no,
things.
yeah.
And you wrote the same thing I did, that was 118 grand, but we were paying 103. Okay, thank you, I'm just trying to remember what we did.
Yes.
103 accepted.
So,
See, these accounts have grown a little bit.
no,
so
no,
figures are different.
and whether there was confusion of that, I don't think there was any confusion, because we talked to Fred about what we were gonna do. We weren't doing up to the Civil War, and we weren't doing around. I'm not saying I'm just saying what we voted for was that 103 for that. So I was trying to find out how we got to the rest of the road.
That's why we went from 103 to 160.
Well, I know that's what,
The rest.
what's being said right now, but I was just trying to find out how we got there. We didn't get there in July or August. When the heck did we get there?
We haven't got there, that's the proposal,
When did the proposal come? Who brought the proposal? When did it come? Or are you bringing it right here, right now?
Right here. So it has to be-
See, I mean,
I'm
I
confused, but,
I was confused on what that original was. I thought that was the whole loop,
so you thought it was gonna do the whole thing?
that whole loop that we've been talking about.
Okay. Because the rest of us thought it wasn't gonna do that.
Right.
Yeah, okay, oh, I knew it wasn't gonna do the whole
I mean,
cemetery.
whatever you want to do, it's 2,366 feet. Unless you want to.
We talked with Fred about that. We sat right here and we said, oh no, what's that gonna do? Oh, it's gonna do this and this and that. And yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
All right. So anyways, now I get it. There's a new thought, but for me, it's brand new. Tonight, I never heard a word of this before. Anybody heard a word of this? So it's brand new. We don't know that what you guys are planning or you're planning or somebody's planning. We didn't know somebody was thinking about doing that. We didn't know people are looking for money. We don't know any of this. Just saying, that don't mean it's not a good idea. I'm just doing my process thing.
Well, I'm trying to explain it to you.
Yeah,
So that we can vote, get it official.
My only problem with it, from a legality point, is that we bid that first one with 3 bidders. And now we're changing it by $60,000, and we're not bidding it.
Is the work already started?
Pardon?
The work has not.
Reeves have not started that project.
No.
When are they planning to do it?
Anytime. They want to get started right away.
I mean, that is a concern because it's a significant change to the work. It's.
And it's not under that umbrella.
Yeah, a rule of thumb of like less than 10%
Yeah.
change order. This is a 50% change order increase. The safest course would be to competitively bid this second portion of it and probably have them do it next year.
Next year.
Well-
You won't be able to drive in that cemetery next year.
No, but that's, I mean,
So,
but we gotta stay legal, because my next thing on my agenda was to tell you about an audit from the comptroller.
yeah,
So
Yep.
if they do it.
Closed
with
open.
Here
the
it coming.
cottage,
They're gonna go,
If they were only to do the 2,366 feet, what did they think it was? So there's.
Fred said they thought it was here.
Okay, so to like the
Where,
cottage.
where
Yeah,
cottage, it turns after the
Correct,
cottage.
it does, that's why I have it turned there,
Yeah.
and then it goes up to the Civil War, and then you've got the thing that goes over to Cessna Left. So this
This
part,
comes-
this part was not included?
Yeah, I didn't think I thought it was, but anyway,
Okay.
and it comes back to here.
Where
Okay, so you
2,000
have
some feet
From
get-
Sassanah Left down, and from the cottage down.
Yep.
approved At this point, right?
that's
What
about
was
3.
approved was from the entrance up to here. That's what I was,
Right,
Was
the,
told
the
the
bend
other
is
day.
just after the cottage, so that
Right.
makes sense, and then Sassanah. So, I mean, they could do this part right now, and then do this part in the spring, I mean, it wouldn't be, but if we
It
have
would
to
have to be
rebid it, that would be a problem too. You know, cause that's gonna add 4 weeks at least to it.
Although the minimum bid period is actually only 5 days. So it's typical to do 30 days, but legally you only have to do 5.
Alright.
So you could, if you wanted to go out to bid for it, have a public bid notice put in the paper, and you could have bids back by your next meeting and award it to the low bidder for that.
But would it have to be for the entire, or just for the extension?
It could be just for the
Because
extension.
we've already done the other and accepted it.
And you've already awarded to whoever it was,
Reeves.
Reeves, and so I don't want you breaking the contract with them.
Right, and that's a problem too.
Is there anybody on the tube?
I mean, it's recording though. Be careful.
Okay. No, I appreciate you reminding me of that. So, just like all the other things, this is a wonderful gesture. It's a wonderful gesture by Les Wagner to do that whole, because that is the loop pretty much. There's some other roads and stuff, but that's pretty much where you go. And actually, it will lead people to go there, because when you get up to the Civil War, you can go up around the top around there, which is actually not that wonderful a drive. This would take them right straight up. So I mean, it'll encourage them to do that, all that, and it's wonderful that Les is willing to do
Yeah,
this.
well, we end up adding another 20,000 of our commitment. 37,000 is from him.
I mean, it's the right path to pave for sure.
Yeah, so it's probably something that we want to do. I can't speak for others, but with the largesse of Les, the less largesse, and with other
So-
factors, we probably want to do this.
Is this an existing road?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
It's beat the crap.
Sure.
It's beat the crap.
Yeah, that's bad.
I have never driven up there, I always walk, I drove up there recently, I thought I was gonna lose my car.
Yeah, it was
It
bad.
was
That's why I
bad.
said, wait till next spring and forget, there'll
Yeah.
be a road left.
Might not be an existing road by the
I'm
time
walking
we redo
down.
it.
So let me get at it. If it's something that, I say this all the time, sorry, I don't like the way we do process. I don't like this process because I don't like all these things happening and not one word to anybody and I don't like that. But it doesn't, that's not the bottom line, just like the last piece wasn't the bottom line. The bottom line is the goodwill that people are doing and we want to do it. So if we're going to do it because we want to do it, then let's find the way to do it. So instead of not finding the way to do it, let's find the way to do it. Somebody needs to talk to Fred, somebody needs to talk to Reeves, somebody needs to, whatever we have to do, if we have to rebid a piece of it, if we want to do this, then let's do it.
No, I say we do it, but let's bid it and then vote on it on the 7th. And award it, so they,
It would be legit.
and they can still start on the other piece. Because you can't do that extra 60 grand.
But once again, you know, we need to talk to
Until
Reeves.
the 7th.
Once
until the
we
8th.
start paving, the cemetery's gotta be shut down.
Yeah, that's, I mean, that would.
You know, I don't know how.
We need to talk to, if we don't, maybe you guys have done a lot of your stuff. We need to talk to Fred and we need to talk to Reeves and we need to find out what's going on. Reeves, how many jobs you got? What this job you're gonna do at this time? When he starts digging, he don't want to send machines up there and dig up part of it. No, he wants to dig it all up and then he wants to pave it. So we need to do this if we're gonna do it.
And it has to be done the right way. So
Sure.
But I doubt he's gonna start
audit
it.
it.
I doubt he's gonna start next week. The 7th is only in 2 weeks from now.
Well, I mean, in paving season, and we're not the only job he has in paving season, that, who knows? I don't know.
Where does it have to be publicized for 5 days?
The official newspaper. So,
Sticker.
well, so they're a once a week publication.
Yeah.
So that's the only wrinkle, because it's too late to get it in their paper this week, which means you wouldn't.
We could probably get it in the Courier this week, but we'd have to do it
I
tomorrow.
think it's Tuesday or Wednesday is the cutoff.
Oh,
Right.
okay, well, in that case,
So that'd come in Wednesday's paper.
that's fast.
Another quick.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember putting it together for this originally, so Rod's office must have done the bid, notice, so they just do that again. I mean, it's highly likely Reeves and Son would submit the lowest bid for this next piece because they're already mobilizing and won't need to.
Somebody else
They're
would be
gonna-
coming just to do that.
They're
piece.
gonna. You said it's highly likely they're gonna have the lowest bid. They just are. Because we just know how this stuff all works.
We'll see.
Well, my certainty
Well, I don't
is
have the
obviously
other
not
two
100%
bids.
certain.
They were
They got
much
going,
higher.
they're already doing it.
Right, no, it makes more sense than we did cheapest. But to be legal, we should bid it.
And this idea of doing half of it and doing half next year is not the worst idea in the universe.
No.
It costs more money to do that.
Yeah, it does.
And
Right,
could be
You got
significantly more money.
equipment there twice.
right, and we really don't want their big equipment driving over.
Over the stuff we just did.
Right, because it's
Yeah, 'cause
really
when
meant
he's-
for cars and hearses and.
When he does that, he'll start at the top and do it from the top down.
You could always change the location of the paving. Just start, it doesn't have to be the first 2,366 feet. It could be the last
Just
2,000.
It could be-
2,000 feet, if we could start and do the top loop,
Right, because you've got that
so
many
that
feet.
when you
you
come
can do.
next year, you don't drive over the stuff we've done.
Yeah, that's true too.
It doesn't say in the motion where, it just
Yeah,
says
that's-
2,000.
The bottom is the crappy part.
No, the whole thing is crappy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the whole thing is incorrect.
But I mean, but that might be, if they're starting soon, you direct them to start at the end, work their way down.
Right.
If they end up being the low bidder, fantastic, finish. If they're not the low bidder, stop where you stop, and then you're not driving over the pavement. you're not doing all that
Right.
stuff.
That's definitely the best plan of attack,
Well, if I can get it in the paper tomorrow,
and hopefully we clear this up
yeah.
in a week or two,
Yes.
be done.
So if we get it in the paper tomorrow, asking Nate or whoever, and somehow it's not coming together right for us, we don't have to follow through on that bid thing. So we should put that in the paper tomorrow.
Yeah.
We should, once again, assuming that we want to do this, we should put it in the paper. We should have Fred talk to Reeves immediately and tell him the glitches and
They definitely need no glitches, because we don't want them to go up there doing it.
No,
For that money.
And the next piece is, nobody starts doing work till this is all cleared. Don't be starting something until you got permission. But anyway, that's how to do it. Put the ad in the paper for the bid, have Fred talk to Reeves, see if it can work and go together, if we want to do it, and we want to spend the money, and if Wes is gonna put up $37,000,
You're gonna match it?
yeah.
So there's no need for board action to authorize going out to bid, because there's a line item in your budget for legal publications. I'm fairly confident that costs, $50 or whatever it is. So it's not committing the village to doing anything. Like Rusty mentioned, you can always split it up, choose not to award. So I guess we just gotta let ride now.
So we do that, and if, depending on X, Y, Z, and whatever Reeves planning, and when he'd start, when he wants to start, and what he's got to schedule, blah, 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 we just have a couple more meetings.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're looking forward to.
We'll figure it out.
I mean, I'm just telling you the methodology to get this done by trying to find all the glitches and get it done.
Tomorrow morning.
I guess I will.
Okay.
But
Get out of here quick enough, I'll call him tonight.
so then the question real quick was, since we don't have to take board action, is that what we want to do? Do we want to spend 160 and do this?
I think you
Has
can
to be
pay
done.
part of it, you should save the whole
It
thing.
needs to be done.
Well,
No, I'm
it's
just,
still 3/4.
Yeah.
as I'm saying all this stuff and trying to move us
We're
along,
moving in the right direction.
we, now, remember, this is just the feel of the board. We haven't,
I know.
everybody in your brains, remember what the feel is as opposed to what we vote for.
That's the direction.
We didn't vote for it.
Seems like
Someone's gonna lose their car in one of those potholes, and should really get
They
the
are.
whole loop done.
I almost lost mine for the week.
Yeah,
I'm not even gonna chance.
so.
Don't take yours up.
Okay?
I'm not going up there, you know what happens to
Mine's
mine.
pretty big.
I already got yours on the pitch.
That was fun.
I'm not coming up there with my chains.
Trust me, you don't want to go into the drainage issue. No, put the water's gonna go right where it's supposed to go.
Okay.
All right. So we don't have nothing to do on that, right? Besides, I'll tell Fred, get the bid out. Yep. Okay. So we have a quote from the EMS for $8,995. And these are for laryngoscopes. So there's a woman that had a sale that is donating about $5,000 for laryngoscopes, these same laryngoscopes. So this is for one for every ambulance. So that's where the extra money comes from. So they want to take the other 4,000 whatever dollars out of the EMS equipment fund in their budget to pay that bill. But I said that we better get this approved officially,
We should do that.
that we're gonna do this. So to pay this bill would be the donation of the $5,000 plus the remainder would come out of the EMS equipment line item.
What are these things again?
So the laryngoscope is a thin tube with a light or lens, sometimes a video camera stuck in through the nose or the mouth.
Down, down.
And are they?
It
are they
improves
pieces?
visualization and airway management, so if you're not breathing, that's what they use.
Is this something that we've ever had before? Is it something?
No, it's a new piece of equipment that our medical director said will greatly help our providers.
So I got two quick questions. Somebody that's going to give some money, are they giving it to the corporation of the EMS, which is someplace, because we can't get, or don't try to get donations, blah, 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 and then they have to give it to us, so we gotta do that piece.
Yes.
Okay.
And originally, maybe the corporation was gonna drop that other $5,000, but they're not, so it's gonna be the village department now.
There was somebody that was so happy with what the EMS had done for their family member, and they felt the need to look out donate something.
So they have donated that money to the nonprofit corporation of the EMS.
Okay, so that's been done, which again, I don't
Specifically to
want,
buy these things.
yeah, you know already that same deal with nonprofit, us, the blend, the asking for money, it's a tricksy little piece, but that being said,
Okay, well, you've got our bank accounts right there in front of you, so.
Yeah, but
It's
it's
the
not,
EMS capital reserve?
no, this is out of their budget.
I'll take that out of that.
Oh, a line item.
Yes.
Did you find an item, Mike, a good place for it?
They have an equipment line. I don't have to put it in front of me.
I'm you sure there's plenty in there for that?
Oh, yeah. But like any department head that comes and buys anything, I said, let's approve this. Even though their portion of it is under the spending, right? So if our department heads spend a bill less than $5,000, they don't have to get our approval. But the total is over the,
Because the money is being donated to the village.
Yeah.
That's like, we are spending money, right, over that amount. Doesn't matter that, oh, it's like, pretend it's, just because the DRI thing was grant funded, right, didn't need to approve it, it's like, no, you gotta approve it, right?
How much was the money for the scopes again, or what?
5,000, and
Oh, they're giving us five.
$8,995.
Getting one for each truck.
They're each $8,000.
No, that's the total bill.
And how many was that for? Because who knows how many trucks we got?
Three. Yeah, I think
Well,
it's
I'm
three.
just saying,
It
because,
doesn't say on here, but I think it's three. One for each ambulance.
So it's a 5K donation.
Yes.
so you think it's three?
The total is,
It is
I'm-
three. So it's
With the bad ugly, what?
A $5,000 donation, but we made a $9,000 purchase.
Correct.
So,
4,000, almost $5,000.
So once the money's donated to the village, it gets allocated to the equipment line item, and then you are approving expenditure of, well, first, you're accepting the donation of $5,000. And then second, approving an expenditure from the equipment line item for $8,995 to purchase 3 laryngoscopes. Correct.
so I'm about to make a motion like that.
That means I gotta take notes.
So, but let me throw a wrench in it.
Sure.
Have multiple quotes been obtained for laryngoscopes, because you have to follow your procurement policy, and since it's a purchase over this threshold, you probably have to get at least 3 quotes from
I don't know if they have quotes, but they did that.
They're
The
what?
lowest price.
I mean, if they did it, then
They
good,
did, yeah.
but that needs to, if it's done, it's good, but that's what you have to do.
Where's our threshold of having to get the,
I don't know off the top of my head.
you think it's under 10, you think it's less than 10 grand?
Often $5,000 is like the number that places use. I don't recall your specific procurement policy.
Thought ours was like 20.
Your procurement policy on your.
I thought it was 20 or something like that.
Well, some departments have, police had 20, Fred's was more. Code could.
I seem to remember
spend
20,000
Where,
for the multiple quotes.
So estimated amount for a purchase contract, $5,000. Written fax quotations and written requests for proposals. What you're required to use.
this is EMS or just everybody?
This is everybody.
5,000.
Boy, we don't do that.
Well, we have a new procurement policy. We just accepted it,
When?
like April, right? Or like,
Yeah.
and that had different stuff for like car purchases and stuff like that.
Well, I just know you have a local, chapter 57 of your code is procurement policy. So
Yeah, we're gonna take that out because it's a long
did
code.
we take it out?
I think we did.
It was like right after.
Yeah, we
AIDS.
adopted the new one and took that out.
Okay, we did that already.
How tricksy is it, how tricksy is it to buy 3 of these individually at 3,000 apiece?
This is a really good price, but you're not getting this price anywhere else.
Yeah, I mean,
But you know what I'm saying?
no,
I'm not buying
can't-
over
you
5.
can't split up.
Right.
just like that.
And actually, they were trying to say that it was under the $5,000 and didn't have to have approval. I said, I don't think that's
The EMS thought that?
If you are making within a calendar year purchases of something that you reasonably expect to exceed the threshold, you must follow a procurement policy for that.
You got the policy over there?
Yeah. This is the one from that we did.
That's the new one, right?
Yep.
There it is.
Every purchase to be made is to determine. Purchase contracts under $20,000 and public work contracts under $35,000. Purchase not subject to.
No, yeah, I think what we did actually was just take chapter 57 out of your code and make it a standalone policy. It otherwise mirrors, it looks, I mean, it still says $5,000 and $19,999 for
Right,
purchase
written
contracts.
facts, quotations, and request that.
Yeah.
Yes, it would probably be helpful if we had their other bids, wouldn't it?
It would.
You should have those as backup when
It would,
things.
which I guess we'll get them, but took me a lot just to get this one, so.
These were already ordered.
Yeah, they have been.
What's been ordered?
Well,
The scope, the things? You already ordered them?
Oh, wait.
It's coming, we need to check.
Maybe don't unbox them till we've solved it.
Well, you're definitely, I will say, you're definitely not gonna get them for that price. They got like 50% off somehow.
and there was this special sale
Yeah,
beginning of
something.
August.
So they've ordered them.
See, they planned, when they ordered them, see, this lady, okay, they were told to order these by the director, okay? The
Yep.
lady wanted them, all right, so they got this special sale at the beginning of August. They planned on coming up with all of the money for it through their 501c3. Okay? The money that was donated by the lady was gonna go into there, but then to come up with the other 5,000, they were feeling pinched. Mike says, oh, you can do it through your budget. You got a line item. So that's how they got ordered already.
So the
So-
nonprofit purchased the laryngoscopes and was planning to donate the laryngoscopes themselves to the village.
Correct.
That was the original intent.
It walks you into a procurement issue by trying to change it at the end like this because they're already
Yeah.
they're already purchased. I mean,
Can we find a sneaky little way to, not on tape, can we find a good ecological way to have them, purchase them for the nonprofit and use their 5,000, which they haven't given to us yet, for part of that and find a way to get the $4,000 for the rest of it? Can we find a methodology? So they will have bought them. They will have paid their $9,000 because they can do anything they want. They will use the 5,000 donation and somehow $4,000 has to get to them legally and ethically.
well, I mean, the nonprofit owns them. And now they're willing to sell them to us for
4,000.
$3,995.
Oh, you rascal. You
It
did
happens
that.
to be underneath they have to get documented verbal quotations in compliance with section B1 of the policy.
Because it's under 4,900.
And then, so you would just do verbal quotes and then Paul needs to do a memo fully and clearly identifying the source and justifications and deciding the purchase is not subject to bidding, et cetera, sorts of stuff like that. Things that he should be doing for all of these types of things. But that would be the way to do it if it's the nonprofit that buys them. And then they sell us the discounted laryngoscopes, and that would make up the delta.
If you think that'll pass legal muster, that's the way. Once again, same old question. Do we have the desire to invest $4,000 for this $9,000 purchase for our EMS, which is going to come out of the EMS budget.
Rusty, I think a good question to ask the medical director would be whether or not these laryngoscopes are required pieces of equipment for the ambulance. You know, it might be a good idea to have them, an extra service to provide, but okay, that's fine. Are they medically required by the state to be on an ambulance? Because if they're required, then you gotta have them anyway.
Although I asked that question.
Well, if they're required, then we have to do the procurement.
Yes, you still have to follow your procurement policy. It's just you have to actually buy it to have the ambulance stocked completely and adequately. And I'm just asking because the way you're phrasing it makes it permissive as opposed to mandatory. And I wouldn't want us to accidentally walk into we really need that to have it, and we didn't because we thought it was discretionary.
No, we don't have to have them, but they make their lives a lot easier when they're intubating.
Yes.
Somebody.
Yeah.
But they're not mandatory. They would have told us if they were mandatory.
They're not mandatory, but they
No.
are desired.
Okay, the way it came about is this lady who's donating the money, she talked with our medical director. And he said the priority of equipment he would like to see on the ambulances is these laryngoscopes.
That's where it starts.
She wanted to do something nice, and all good. We're just trying to find the path.
Well, I'm just trying to explain
Yeah,
how
how
it
that came about.
transpired.
That's how we got to where we are.
So if we're going the path that the nonprofit is purchasing these, then I think we need a letter from the nonprofit that says, we have purchased 3 laryngoscopes, you know, and we are,
Here's your bill.
we will sell them to you at a significantly reduced cost of this much money, you know, for yada, yada, yada reasons, right? They're trying to help us out, it's a great thing, et cetera, et cetera. But just that, because then they are donating to us,
Right.
you know, the balance of the purchase price.
So then that purchase would be under the $5,000.
And then it is us
And then
purchasing.
We don't need approval or anything, right? We just do it.
Well, you still have to get verbal quotes. You can't just.
Well, no, but I'm saying.
Why would we have to have some
Oh,
quotes now?
excuse me, the department head. Yes, the department head can approve it himself.
Right.
Because it's under the
Yes,
5.
because it's under the
Okay. Maybe this isn't an issue. We approach it that way.
So, same questions. Consensus, but not with necessarily vote. Do we want to buy these out of the EMS fund, pay $4,000 a year?
I'll push back on you slightly.
Okay, here we go.
No, I'm not sure it's a village board decision
Right.
at that point, because the department heads have authority within their budgets
Right.
to spend money on purchases.
We weren't going to take a vote on that. I just wanted to know if we have a consensus to do this.
Well, I guess even if you have a consensus to not do it, if your department head chooses to purchase within his authority underneath the budget, you folks can't stop him. Well, I guess you could stop him by passing a resolution directly saying to not do it.
Well, they
Well, right.
specifically wanted to get our permission to do it, even though they thought they were going to give 5 and it was going to be less than that. Even there, they wanted to do that. They wanted to get us to tell them.
No, I brought that up.
Oh, Mike wanted to do that. Sorry.
And the lady who's making the donation, she wants us to buy the laryngoscopes.
Well, she's tied the money to that.
Yes, she's
She
tied the
won't
money
get
to
the money
that.
unless they buy it.
If we don't buy them, we probably don't get the 5,000.
Right, but we definitely won't get
I
it.
think we should do it. I just was trying to figure out
Well,
whatever
I'm
else
just-
wanted to do, yeah.
Terry?
From about 5 minutes on the internet, if someone's gonna intubate me, I want them to have a laryngoscope,
Yes.
okay?
Oh,
But
yeah,
your success rate is
Yeah.
way
Way
higher,
better, yeah.
even for people in the emergency room. And I think when you look at the disposable ones, they're absolute crap, and they're almost $200 a piece that they use once a time. So it would make more sense to have 3 that were in
Oh,
good working order on our,
Yeah, I know the doctor said these are definitely something we want them to have.
yeah.
Is your
There's
donation?
there's
I just
definitely.
don't want to be
I
aware
just
that
watched
it's
a little
happening.
video and you saw my face, the without, no, I
I
don't
see
need
it, I see it on PR.
But someone, excuse me.
Yeah.
Someone's the mayor, going to have to talk to
Yeah, I'll do that.
to them and explain the little
I'll explain how. it
tweak
works.
and this is how we think we need to go about it to do it.
Yes.
And quickly and,
We have
and
to
and
approve
take care of it.
ahead of time, the 4,000 out of the
No,
line item?
no, probably
So-
not.
Okay.
So I'm just, this is me thinking out loud, unfortunately.
Mm.
I think if that's what the EMS department is going to do, I think, department heads can purchase for underneath that amount. But to the extent that the laryngoscopes have value in excess of that $5,000 or whatever, because, I mean, it is a donation of that amount of money ultimately, it's just through the value of these laryngoscopes. Because we do want the village board to be approving donations, because you might not want donations of stuff and you want to know that things are being donated to the village. You don't want unfettered, unknown things being donated and accepted by your department heads. I think there needs to be some acceptance by the village board of the donation of laryngoscopes whose value is in excess of what we would be paying actually for them.
So what if we approved to buy the laryngoscopes from the nonprofit at a cost of not to exceed $5,000 or something like that?
Yeah, I'm fine with that, and including in that motion, some acknowledgement of the nonprofit's generous donation of laryngoscopes well in excess of that value, and, accepting that donation with the purchase price of not to exceed 4,000 even, because it's $39.95.
So we're just trying to figure out the wording, we already have.
Well, he's trying to make sure we twist it around. So I want to ask you quickly who said it, maybe Fran or whatever. These are already ordered. They're already on the way.
Well, they're looking for the check, so they're not quite ordered yet.
I've heard they were.
Yeah, I've heard they were ordered. They're
Well,
not,
they're
they
on
haven't been
order.
sent.
We haven't paid for them yet, let's put it that way.
So
They have.
once again, somebody has to go talk. A piece of this is that they need to understand that they've got to come up with $9,000 out of their account. If the lady's already given the 5 or whatever, they got to come up with their own $4,000 to pay for this whole thing. It's kind of like our reimbursement thing, and then they'll get money, if it all works correctly, they'll get the money back from us. Yes, no? They got to pay for it.
They
Because
don't
they
have,
gotta
they
pay for
don't,
What?
they don't have the 4,000.
Oh, they don't have it at
That's
all.
why Mike said, you can take it out of yours.
I didn't know I didn't know what the nonprofit had. I don't know what they have and what they spend.
None of us do.
They
They might have it. I
A
don't know
nice
if they do or
change.
not.
They got a big chunk of change for the monster trucks.
Yeah, right.
But I don't know what they have.
So, Fran, the way that you just described it, if the nonprofit does not have the money, then it's not us purchasing it from the nonprofit, it's us purchasing it from Verathon, and we need to follow the procurement policy and get the quotes for 3 quotes in excess of a $5,000 purchase. And the nonprofit is donating the money to us, and you folks tonight accept the donation of the money. And then we go and approve the purchase for the 80, whatever it was.
$89.95.
Mike, is Paul still suspended?
Yes.
Well, my recommendation is, if you feel like doing it, you need to talk to the head of the corporation and explain that we want to do it, explain our dilemma, and see what they can do with it. That's what you got to do, I guess. Maybe not.
Can our department purchase one and can they donate 2? Just so that we purchase the full value of one and they donate the full value of the others?
Yeah, that would be breaking it up, and if we're only purchasing one, that's underneath the procurement piece. I don't know, so they're each, call it $3,000, right?
Right.
So if the nonprofit is in need of $4,000, or 1,000 very short.
Well, the problem is that this is becoming such a problematic
Yeah.
procedure that the person who's donating it is ready to say, well,
Yeah, she's ready to give up.
You've already heard that from her? She's already
Oh, yeah.
upset?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she met with
With who?
Charles and Mike and I met with
Charles,
this lady
I
about
will
a month
say,
ago. She says, I've been waiting for several months to get this done. If it isn't done, Steve.
So who didn't do it? Not us.
No,
That
no,
would have been.
we just got involved a week ago.
So whoever didn't do it, didn't do it. Yeah, could be, yeah. So that's,
We just got involved a week ago.
Yeah, we just,
And now we have like an invoice. Which we didn't have a
It was
week
more
ago.
than a week ago.
We met with her last Friday. Or the Friday before.
This
Might
is-
have been 2 weeks.
so you met with the lady.
Yes.
So she hasn't given the money yet.
She's holding off
The
until
money is
she
tied to
knows it's
getting
being
the
ordered.
things.
She's holding her money until she knows that it's approved, it's gonna happen.
She has an account separate.
so it was said that purchase was made and it was on its way or something.
The corporation might need to return their purchase if they, they just didn't make it.
Well, if they
Yeah, they
return
didn't
the
get their stuff
purchase, it's
together in
gonna
time.
cost you twice as much. Because we got a special deal on the price beginning of August, when the order was put in.
It's not the village's fault, like, we're just hearing about this purchase that somebody made not out of our, the corporation made it out of our control and, like,
We're trying to fix
not
their
sure.
matter.
Viable
on the
this time
line
without
for
these
this
scopes,
purchase.
but it would have been a nice thing to have. And that's where we at.
We're trying to fix it. I'm gonna write it on my giant page of more stuff that isn't done very well with process. I'm gonna have a giant notebook on this crap. But that always is just a little gripe. The deal is fixing it and getting the things that we need to do.
Trying to put that cart back for the.
So Nate, what's our latest here with this little piece?
So instead of just giving them the check, I said that we need to talk about tonight. So you're right.
So I guess based on what I've heard, I would suggest that the village accepts the $5,000 donation from the lady. And you, I think indicated, you were told that quotes have been received from multiple sources.
Can we take once again, does that have to go to the corporation? Can we take the donation from the lady?
She wanted it specifically for these scopes.
Yeah.
I know, I get that. I'm talking
No,
about
excuse
this.
me, you're right. She's donating it to the.
Village can't accept that.
All right, so first, we can't accept donations and gifts directly. Doesn't have to go through a nonprofit. People like to often have monies go through the nonprofits because nonprofits can actively fundraise, which is prohibited for a municipality to do it. But she could give the money directly to the village of Owego if she wants to do that.
But she was afraid that if that was done, that money could be used for something else other than these scopes.
Nope, cannot. If she makes a gift and ties to it the donated intent that can only be used for the purchase of laryngoscopes, then we cannot use that money legally for any other.
That was
purpose.
floated,
Yeah.
I believe, that it
And
might
that's-
be
Yeah,
used
it
for something else.
It could not. It has to be used for the purchase that people are donating the money for. And so, I mean, I would tell you, like, if somebody comes in and says, I want to donate money, be like, great. We're not going to authorize the purchase until we have the money in our account. Because if we don't have your money, we make the purchase and then you don't give us the money, we suddenly are funding a thing that we didn't have or intend. So like, you're gonna donate the money, great, give it to us, we put it in an account. It's earmarked, this is only for this purchase, we will not use it for anything else, and we'll give it back if we don't make a purchase within 60 days, something like that.
Okay, so I'll make this more complicated or less complicated. So the way this was going to work before it brought up tonight, so there is it's not 5,000, it's $4,559.58 in an account with RJ's wife.
Okay. In escrow, okay.
Yes. So they have that check, which we need to verify, but maybe made out to these people. And then we're gonna get a check of $4,435.42 village. Put those two checks in an envelope and send it to this company certified mail tomorrow. That's when I said, we'll hold on to it.
Yeah, so when do these people need paid? I mean, it's
According to the invoice, it was today.
clearly a made up invoice.
They
It
want
also
the
says
money before
advance billing.
the order's sent out.
I think they won't show.
Orders placed, but they're not gonna.
They want the money before they ship.
Yeah, so, I mean, again, I guess I would go back to the whole, this nice lady's donation should probably be accepted by the village of Owego. The money's deposited into a village account, and the money, and then one check for the entire purchase price from the village, so that way it's clear that we had an expense, that the monies were received, because this is, it's monies that aren't hitting your budget, aren't hitting your books.
Right.
Otherwise, and we need to keep track of people who are donating things to us in an appropriate fashion.
Oh, the comptroller that's coming in here next week will be telling us that,
This week.
this week.
Okay, so the way the purchase order is written out is to the Owego EMS. So if a check comes from the village of Owego to this company, probably shouldn't be any problem, right?
Right, no, yeah, the
Well, that's
purchase
a-
order is correct, I mean. it's-
That's another little Glitchenheimer.
It should just
What
be
is the
village
name of
Owego.
the nonprofit?
I don't know.
Pardon?
What's the name of the nonprofit? The EMS nonprofit, what's its name? It might very well be the Owego EMS.
That's a good question. Their address probably is not 87 North Avenue.
Very well might be.
More of that.
I think it's a Owego Emergency Squad, isn't it?
I thought so. But that would be Owego EMS.
Well, if we didn't have Nate here tonight, we'd have just done it.
That's true.
I'll leave.
So back to it, how long is a procurement policy gonna take? If we have to do it that way?
You just need to get some quotes.
Could take it tomorrow.
It,
And be
it,
done.
it should not take long at all. I mean, whoever is familiar with what this equipment is and does, knows the suppliers, reach out to them, say, please give me some quotes.
How many do we
Way
need?
higher.
How many do we need?
3,
We need two more.
2 more.
It'll be way higher. Because this
So we got-
this is a real. very
It's a
good deal.
special
That's
sale
it.
price
And I
at
get
the
this
beginning
deal.
of August.
This is the deal.
You should definitely have everything back by the time of your October 7th meeting.
Right.
Oh, maybe Owego Emergency Squad.
Owego Emergency Squad Inc.
That's the name of the, oh,
So that
because
is-
back when they formed it, when we did that back in 19, I remember that. They're picking a name that's too similar to the
That's their name.
department name.
Yeah, and so, I mean, to me, I think you go back, ask them to invoice the village of Owego directly, not Owego EMS, because the Owego EMS is the nonprofit organization.
Right.
And then talk to this nice lady, say, the village is more than interested in doing this, you know, and we just need to comply with our procurement policy. We expect authorizing this at the meeting on October 7th. Between now and then, get the 2 other quotes, get the corrected invoice. She should give us the money, so that way it's in our account and we're able to actually make the purchase.
That's a glitch that won't be fun. Getting her to give them money.
They'll do it.
So
if we're on a pattern.
who's gonna be responsible for doing all this shenanigans? I mean, if you don't want Paul Cole doing it,
I didn't say that. I just asked if he was still suspended.
well, we have to figure out what suspended means.
It means he cannot serve as the department head or the captain
So it'd be road
Of what?
of the EMS.
of our department.
So he's putting in all this time doing documentation, all this other stuff, and he's not supposed to do it?
He's not the captain or the head of the department. If the head of the department, which we believe is Mike Roden, he is now
So
the acting.
Mike Roden has to do this.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Wait
saying.
for-
I mean,
wait
the
for it.
lawyer's asking the squad to send all kinds of documentation for the last 5 months. And you say Paul is not the head of the department, so it's not up to him to do it.
That is correct. Paul is not.
Well, he's been told to do it.
That's a totally different.
That's a
topic.
very different discussion, Fran.
Well, I'm just saying,
So,
a
Here's
lot
how-
is being
here-
asked for him and you tell him he's not the head.
in this case, Mike Roden, who's the current department head, should do this. And I'm sure he will.
Okay.
Fran, Mike Roden is the acting department head right now. Somebody else, the head is on suspension. Mike Roden,
But,
I'm done.
okay. But we told him he can still do stuff as a chief.
Right.
What is his?
He cannot do
responsibility
stuff as
there?
the chief.
He can be an EMT.
He's allowed to
He
run
can be an
the,
EMT. He's not supposed to be in charge of anybody, the volunteers or at all.
The motion that the board passed said he was suspended as the captain, Stephanie was suspended as the co-captain, but that they could act as, otherwise serve as members of the EMS department, as volunteer
Well,
members.
see, this has not been clarified yet.
It's,
I mean,
it's
if
right in the
If
minutes of
Mike
the meeting.
Roden is supposed to be doing all this research work and so on, somebody needs to tell Mike Roden that, because.
That's a different.
Fran, that's a different issue that I'm happy to talk with you about. But now is not the appropriate time to have that conversation.
That's completely separate from running the department. Mike Roden is supposed to be running the department currently.
Okay. See, nobody's told Mike Roden to do all that stuff.
He knows he has to run the department.
Well,
All of
it
this
hasn't
falls
been
under him.
defined in
Because
what
in these
running a department is.
emails, it's Mike Roden who's supposed to come pick up the check
Okay.
and mail it out. Everybody's clear on that. So, I guess I'll talk to Mike about all this. Let me take notes, so this has to be corrected to the village of Owego. And then we need to get 2 more quotes.
And then the check for the donation money needs to be made out to the village of Owego and deposited. So we need the check in hand.
Okay, so I'll talk to Mike about all that, and we'll get it straightened out, hopefully by the 7th. Hopefully these people still give us the sale. Otherwise, we'll get none of them.
Well, then I'm requesting executive session to clarify the position of responsibilities for the squad.
Did you have other things on the agenda you wanted to? Doing some executive sessions?
Well, yeah, I want to talk about the PBS
somebody needs to
contract.
second that, and that needs to get voted on if we're gonna do it.
Do we all need clarification, or do you just need it?
The people at the.
So you need clarification so you get related information, because I think everybody else got clarification. Am I not right? You
I
got,
don't know, I mean, who,
I got
if,
clarification.
if,
but I don't
if
understand
Mike
what it means.
Roden is supposed to be handling everything for the
I
squad.
understand, we can't have that discussion right now, so.
I
think
second,
it's
I second a
to have
motion for an
Fran
executive
to-
session.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
That way we're all on the same page.
Yep.
What? Motion by Fran. I'm the note taker. Second. By Rusty. For executive session.
Attorney-client,
Well, it's executive session matters relating to the employment, promotion, et cetera, of a particular person.
Yep.
Fran has identified who those people are, so it's
Yeah.
members within the EMS department, it's the
Yeah.
generic phrase.
Yep. Same thing we said last time. Language, termination.
Can we also talk about other legal questions, matters,
And attorney,
and attorney stuff,
sure.
unrelated to E EMS?
So you don't have to say unrelated EMS.
Do you
Yeah.
do you have a topic? Because you should be identifying the reasons you're going into executive session. I mean, if it's just, if it's separately an attorney-client.
I do. Union negotiations.
We order pizza.
Yeah, the PBA, you're planning on talking about at least.
Yeah.
We wanted to talk about
Yep.
the PBA
And union,
Oh.
yep.
and union. And also, I guess I'd want to talk about like financial,
Other matters related to the employment of certain professional service
of
providers.
services, of professional services. Yes,
Oh, yes.
for sure, I do.
Still fall in the matters related to the employment of persons or entities.
Someone's gonna lose it. Forget Monday nights, they don't belong to you anymore.
Charles, remember a couple of years back when things were a certain way and people were busy and you recommended we have meetings on Tuesdays instead of Monday?
Yeah.
All right, let's vote on that. This is the executive session on
For
all
all
of that stuff. I
Okay.
think I got it all wrote down. Rusty,
Yeah.
Laura,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
Fran,
Yes.
Terry,
Absolutely.
Charles,
Yes.
and yes. Okay, one thing in open session, then we'll actually like close the meeting and have an executive session,
Okay.
is the comptroller is, so we've supposedly been randomly selected for an audit, which happens every so many years. So they will be here this week to start the audit. Just
So all
everybody
the
knows.
cups gotta be in order.
Well, they should have already been
Yeah,
in order.
yeah.
They're gonna tell us how out of order they've been.
Something, we had our, agreement with Nest for the intern. So we need to send an invoice to get the, 2,700 from Nest.
Okay, can you get with the
Yeah,
clerk's office to do that?
so anyways, I just wanted to state it so that we can like go do it. We'll invoice Nest
No, yeah, I understand.
to get
They will,
paid
yeah,
back
just what I
from,
was talking
from
about.
NYSERDA.
Email them or something tomorrow.
Okay. And I wanted to know if you signed and returned the BRIC DTA agreement and the CEC agreement.
As far as I know, like I will check with Kim and those guys, because they're working on it, but yes, I think so.
Okay. So it's like your, they'll have done your automatic, electronic signature or something for it? Okay.
Anything else?
Pizza, we're gonna order pizza.
We do need people. I already ate before I came.